Hi, wonderful people. This is UC Wonders TV. If this is the first time you are seeing this channel, you are highly welcome. If you are a returning viewer, you are also highly welcome. Do consider becoming part of our family. I appreciate everyone that came from our previous video talking about Jesus being greater than every scientific theory or religion of the world. I didn't know that our previous video will be getting a lot of engagement and so much criticism. It's open for criticism. I do enjoy it. So many people came and they are bringing up their own opinion. They are saying a lot of things that made sense to them. Everyone is entitled to his or her opinion. However, I still want to straighten up some things that I feel like some people misunderstood in the video, and that is why I had to do the second part of continuation of that video, still talking about Jesus being the greatest, being greater than any scientific theory or math theory or even any religion of the world. I'm not saying it out of arrogance, and I'm not saying it because I expect everyone to like believe, or I'm not saying it so that everyone will agree with me. Like I said earlier, I said this is very open for debate, and the more you do your constructive debate with me or we debate about it, the more you know, you learn, and the more also I learn. Now, there are two types of people that will be listening to this. The first set of people are people that will be listening to criticize and to condemn the whole ideology because they don't find it like anchored to whatever they believe. I also know that there are some people that don't believe in existence of God, that they can be called atheists. Maybe there are so many factors, or because of their logical understanding of the cosmos, they feel like it's not necessary to believe in anything called God. And again, we also understand that there are a lot of things people call God, because even if you come again to like ask people what they mean by God, you discover that a lot of people have so many things that they call God that is not even uh, the definition of God is not even does not even have a uniform definition. So first of all, we have to get so many things straight as long as this argument or this discussion is evolving or is concerned. And I also want people at the end of this video to keep on talking or contributing. I'm not saying it to undermine anyone. Everyone's contribution is necessary. So let me just begin. The first thing I want to talk about is the element of truth, the element of truth and the levels of truth. I buttressed it in my previous video. I spoke about levels of truth, that things can be truthful. A lot of things are truthful, but there are levels to truth. There is a truth that is lesser than another truth. Let me say it again. There is a certain kind of truth or a certain kind of fact or whatever you want to call it as an element of truth that is lesser than another one. There is a short video I'm going to play. After playing it, we'll continue.
Newton was right, but Einstein had to fix his law, right? Like even Einstein. So that was accepted. It was accepted, right? That I'm just pushing you a little bit on.
Okay, so here's how that goes. So that's another aspect, a nuance of it that I'm glad you mentioned.
Okay.
So Isaac Newton, my man, okay?
No, you're a fan.
Just to be clear. He's my man because he discovered the laws of optics and the laws of motion and the laws of gravity, and practically on a dare he invents integral and differential calculus. Then he turned 26, okay? So are we done here with that? Do I have agreement here? All right. So he comes up with his laws of motion and laws of gravity, and they apply to everything he had ever seen or measured. Although the fastest anyone had ever moved might have been a galloping horse in his day. But it explained the moon going around the Earth and the Earth going around the sun. And it would later explain Jupiter's moons going around Jupiter. So it wasn't just a law of things that went around the sun. It appeared to be kind of universal in the literal use of that term, as opposed to how that word is used so often in our culture. Miss Universe. She's Miss Earth, please, all right? Okay? So what we later learn, as our methods and tools become more and more precise. I have to slip something in. Can I slip something? Okay, so watch what happens. So we apply Newton's laws, and we apply them to, William Herschel discovers planet Uranus by accident. Okay, Uranus is the planet just beyond Saturn. So by accident. And this is after Newton's laws of gravity are published. So now we're tracking the orbit of Uranus. You say, no, this is not following Newton's laws. It's got some deviation. So maybe we found the limits, the distance limit over which Newton's laws would apply. That'd be interesting. Mm-hmm. But other people said that Newton was so badass, it must work, okay, even there. So instead of suggesting that his law was failing, clever people said maybe his law applies, but there's yet another planet out there that we've yet to discover whose gravity is tugging on it, and we did not include that in our calculations. So let's do the math and ask, where must there be a planet of what mass to create the deviation that we measure? And those calculations were done, and they were published, and an observatory in Germany got hold of those calculations, and they looked in the exact spot of the sky that the calculation said Neptune was waiting to be discovered right there. It was a triumph of Newton's laws. And so this gives us confidence. We're not just pulling this out. We calculate this, and the observations show it. So now watch what happens. We have better and better measurements, and we find out Newton's law is failing. Mercury's orbit is not following what it should. That's the closest planet to the sun. Well, we've been down that path before. Just throw in another planet that we can't see, and that'll fix it. So, thus was introduced planet Vulcan. This would be a planet very close to the sun, so close it would be hard to see, it would be lost in the glare. And so there was the hunt for Vulcan. No one found it. But we knew it had to be there, because that's the same problem as the discovery of Neptune. Einstein comes along, comes up with his theory of motion and his theory of gravity, the special and general theory of relativity. Out of those two theories, which are corrections to Newton's laws in these extreme regimes. If you're near the sun has very strong gravity. If you're moving around in that strong force of gravity, Newton's laws begin to fail. And no one knew this. And you look at Einstein's laws, and he says, Mercury's orbit will not follow Newton's laws, it'll follow this other path. Find out. And it exactly explained the deviations of Mercury. And so people say, oh, see, scientists, we thought this was right, and now we all huddle around this thing that's right. No, that is not how it works since 1600 onward. The way it works is if you have an experimentally determined result, and it's verified and double-checked and triple-checked, that will not later be shown to be false. What you can find is a deeper understanding of the world that encloses that understanding. And that's what happened with Einstein. Einstein's theories of motion and gravity, if you put in low speeds and low gravity in the equations, they become Newton's equations. So Newton's universe is a subset, an accurately described subset of a larger universe that Einstein has described. And even with Einstein, his equations can't take us to the center of a black hole, the singularity that's there, the singularity at the beginning of the universe. We know now that his theories fail. They blow up on the page. So we have a whole frontier of science. The string theorists, you've heard of them. The string theorists, we got top people working on this to try to extend Einstein's laws into an even bigger regime that can then explain everything that's in our universe, not most things.
So if you watch that video, you discover that, for those people that are physicists, you discover that there was first Newtonian physics. Newtonian physics that has to do with gravity has laws, and those laws are applicable only to an extent. Like, based on the analysis you saw on the previous video, you discover that Newtonian physics is applicable to an extent. There are things that Newtonian physics cannot, to the level of knowledge and the ways that we can know of the observable universe today. We discover that Newtonian physics is applicable to an aspect of physics, not all aspects of physics. And that is why you discover that some people thought it wise that Einstein quantum law of physics, that is the Einstein quantum theory, was more advanced or was more evolved or is more refined or is of a grander truth that could accumulate the entire happenings of the universe. That means from even your own scientific theory and evolution of scientific theory, you can even discover it as a scientist that you are, because I know some scientists will be observing this my video. So as a scientist that you are, you discover that even in the physics, and much of physics has mathematics in it. So you discover that there are elements. There was a time Newtonian physics was like the ultimate of what could be applicable to facts and principles of the observable universe. But it gets to a time where scientists discover that there are some other things that, like this quantum physics that is talking about dual character of matter, that is the wave function and also the energy function of matter. So it became like a problem in physics. That means as a scientist or as a mathematician, math is a law obtainable in the physical universe. But the universe has so many other things greater than mathematics. The universe has so many other laws that mathematics cannot be able to penetrate, or mathematics cannot be able to fathom, like grasp. So math is, to an extent, a consequence of the kind of mind or the kind of consciousness we have. I said math is a consequence of the kind of consciousness we have. But there is something that religion offers that is more grounded in the fabrics of being than mere like facts. Because I know there are some people that are always talking about facts, like saying like 1 + 1 is 2. I even gave example in my previous video. I was talking about the problem of infinity. How can infinity be approached as a mathematician? So I'm not trying to, anything I'm saying, I'm not trying to nullify or disrespect the fact that math is important to humans. But I'm just saying that math is an element of truth that is obtainable in the physical universe, but may not be able to accommodate the mystery of the fabrics of the universe. Because the universe has so many other grander theories that are yet to even be understood by scientists. Today we are talking about dark energy.
Absolutely astonishing. It blows your mind. I don't know what it does to you astronomers when you see this thing, but tell me why dark energy is showing that God is intricately designing the universe, and why it's so necessary for us to even to be able to live here on planet Earth.
Well, we now know that dark energy makes up 72% of all the stuff of the universe. It's the dominant component that governs the expansion of the universe. If you expand the universe too quickly from the cosmic creation event, gas and dust will never be collected by gravity to make stars and galaxies, and life can't possibly exist. But if you expand it too slowly, then gravity will collapse everything into black holes and neutron stars. And once again, life will be impossible. And what was amazing to astronomers was to discover just how carefully you have to fine-tune dark energy in order to get the universe to expand at the just right rates throughout the entire history of the universe, in order that you can get the stars and planets that would make life possible appearing at the right time in cosmic history. And to give you a point of comparison, the very best example of human engineering design achievement is something called the Gravity Wave Telescope, the LIGO instrument. It's so amazingly fine-tuned, 1 part in 10 to the 23. But if we can compare that 1 part in 10 to the 23 with 1 part in 10 to the 122, it means that the one that created matter, energy, space, and time at a minimum is 10 to the 99. That is 1,000 trillion times more intelligent and more knowledgeable than the Caltech and MIT physicists that designed this amazing instrument, and at least that many times better funded, that is more powerful than the U.S. government that made it all possible.
I love that illustration. And when scientists realize that the intelligence, the design, the laws we're finding in nature are so much greater than anything that we even can comprehend. Okay, and we're talking about God and this intelligence that they see in the universe. Okay, what do they do with that concept of where it's pushing them theologically?
Well, a lot of them will say, you know, I speak in front of astronomers and physicists, they'll say, well, Hugh, all you're proving is that there's an agent beyond space and time that creates matter, energy, space, and time. Who says it's a person? When we look at this fine-tuning design, we're seeing intellect, knowledge, we're seeing creativity, power, care, and love. Those are attributes that only a person can manifest. Moreover, we're seeing that the level of care and love being demonstrated towards life and human beings in particular is orders of magnitude greater than what is claimed, say, in the Eastern religions of Hinduism, Buddhism, or Islam. This is really identifying the personality of the God of the Bible. So that's what's causing people to really think in a way they've never done before about the philosophical and theological.
All your mass theory, all your scientific proofs and evidence comes crumbling in the presence of black hole, in the presence of dark energy, in the presence of some kind of mystery about our universe. And yet, because of the stiffness of the heart of men, they keep on saying that math, that is just a generated principle of the laws of form. Form means like physical things, because the only time you can see 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 to add and subtract is only when the thing is tangible. And we all know that there are so many intangible things. We all know that there are so many intangible things in the cosmos. So I think the thing that the problem here is that scientists are trying to understand, because it's just the study of figuring out and understanding how things work on and understanding the cosmos. I think these scientists and religious people, they are almost doing the same thing. They are in the same race, but they are starting from different points of view. Whereas scientists are starting from the point of the physical world, what the eyes can see, what the senses can perceive, and trying to poke in, trying to dissect what our 5 senses can observe, and like using principles and tools and equipment that can be accessible, trying to like look into it and see the end of it, which of course they are not seeing, because at the end of the day it's just still theories and hypotheses and speculations. And even up to now, they have not seen the full fabrics of what is controlling the atoms. Whereas they are doing that on their own with their equipment, they are doing a lot of fine works. A religious person begins from understanding that the cosmos is unknowable. The cosmos is generated, just like how the book of Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 made us to understand that in the beginning, God created heaven and earth was without form and was void, and darkness was covered on the face of the deep, which was mentioned about the dark age. And God said, let there be light, and then light came into being. Now, if you study the book of Genesis chapter 1, you discover that it didn't say in the beginning God began. He said in the beginning God. In the beginning, that means God is outside the beginning. There is something that is outside the fragment of the cosmos, with a personality, with wisdom beyond what we can grasp. Yet fragments of our wisdom are still in him, just like what even the wise philosophers already know. Wise philosopher like Aristotle that says that there's an unmovable mover. Like these are terms used to like quantify the fact that we as humans, we might be intelligent, we might like know to an extent, but we cannot know beyond what is outside our mind, the fragment of the five senses that we are being locked in. So that being said, anyone that is on the comment section, like I saw the other day, trying to downplay the fact of existence of a higher being, a being that is far beyond our understanding, yet can understand what you are doing, a being that is far above whatever you can think of. Some people used to think that it's only five senses that there could only be. What if there are so many other senses that we don't know of that can be used to observe the universe? So the definition of that being called God is best described by Aristotle, the unmovable mover, the unknowable force, yet can become part of known. So there are some part of the principles of that which is God that we can know with our scientific theory, with whatever we have to look into the universe, the best of our scientific knowledge and our computer abilities. But it will get to an extent that we cannot know of, because there are things that are far beyond humans that are in existence or that are part of this universe. And the more you know it, the more you, as an atheist, you that don't believe in God, maybe you become angry with the concept of God because of how you are not able to get into the understanding of, or because you don't believe God is like those deities presented in some of our religious folklores. Those religious folklores are trying to describe the undescribable using human beings. And I'll end with this. There is God, but God is not a big human being sitting in the clouds. If that is your ideology of God, then you are making a big mistake. God is not a big human being. Thank you for watching. I expect more engagement from this one too. So we are going to be, I'm going to be presenting more of the comments, what people have been commenting on our videos, and I want it to be very engaging. I'm not undermining any other religion, but in the third episode, I'm going to be specifically talking about why Jesus as a person is the ultimate. Thank you for